Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the show. This is Jenganjeri. Now, today we have the Matchmaker show, and you understand the protocol here. Any other time we have a man on board, that man must be looking for a woman. In the same way, when we have a woman on board, that woman must be looking for a man. But because today we have a man, I will tell you the kind of woman he is looking for. But before then, if you're watching us for the first time, this is the Matchmaker show. We help men and women to get matches, and the moment they get the right ones, they meet their destinies. So you're not lost. If you're new to the show, subscribe, like the video, and don't forget to leave a comment. Also, the contacts of our guest will be on my Facebook page at Jenganjero. So you can follow Jenganjero on Facebook and you will be getting these updates in real time. Our guest on today's show is Mr. Stephen Gashie. Mr. Stephen is a single man, 56 years old, searching, and from the United States. I had preempted the story on Facebook that he has been in the US for the last 21 years and he has relocated back to Kenya because he wants to venture in business. For those of you who understand that sometimes you go out there in the diaspora, whether you're in Gulf or the entire diaspora, so that you can come back home and maybe reinvest what you've been doing out there. Maybe you have been out there hunting, it is time to domesticate. And that is what Mr. Stephen is doing. So, Mr. Stephen Njoroge Oshie, I want you to understand that on this show, we preempt about the story, why the person is single, their age, the preferred ages, their life, so that if you are able to come to terms with what the person is all about or the story, you can then contact them and a relationship can be started. Mr. Stephen is 56 years old. He is divorced. I told you there is a difference between a divorce and a casual separation. Mr. Stephen has been a friend of the show since last year. He has been watching from the periphery and he said that now he has gathered the confidence to come back because he came back recently. He relocated to Kenya and he did not want the idea of a long distance relationship because sometimes when you are dating from a distance, when you are dating somebody and you cannot be able to meet them when it is convenient, to some people it doesn't work. However, it works to others. But for him, he preferred to date somebody when he's already in the country. Now, this is the story. Mr. Stephen is 56. He was divorced 51 years ago, and he was divorced after 6 years of marriage, like in the US, because he left with a wife in Kenya and they stayed for 6 years. After 6 years, they parted ways, and the differences he say are irreconcilable. Those are the kind of differences that cannot allow the both of them to come back together. It is not good to wash your partners or your ex-partners dirty linen in public. And sometimes it is just good to let go because even when your ex has a bad side, when your ex has a bad shade of their story, they still have a good side because again, if you had stayed with somebody for more than 10 years, for almost 10 years, that means there was a good side of that person that you also don't want to talk about. Okay, that is why on this show we don't like washing dirty linens in public. If the relationship did not work, then it didn't work, unless it is a criminal offense that requires attention to warn people. Okay, now Mr. Stephen is divorced officially. He has the papers. For those of you who understand the United States, and for those of you who understand how life is in the US, you know that the work schedules are very strict, very strict. There are people who work for very long hours. There are people who toil to make ends meet. There are people who cannot even have time to date. Sometimes you're working 6 out of 7 days in a week, and probably on Sunday you will be going to church. After church, maybe you rest a little bit, and on Monday your shift begins again. Maybe you will only be available at night. Now, that now limits your possibility to date because everyone is busy. Okay. And so the logistics of trying to date, and again, also you have not healed, for example, complicates the issue even more. For Mr. Steven, he says he would prefer a woman who is between the ages of 35 and 45. Reason being, he would want to, if possible, he would want to add a baby. They had one son and one stepson. Let me explain. He had married his wife and the wife had a son already. Unaona wale tunasemanga aliolewa na mtoto. So the wife got married with a small baby. a small baby boy. Okay, and now here, after the relationship and the marriage, they got another son. So he's a father of two, one of his own and one is a stepson. But when they parted ways, now the sons are big, the sons are on their own, the woman got married, there are no ties, there are no strings attached. They can only say hi to this party and that party. Okay? And even after they parted ways, for the remaining time of the child support, for the support arrangement, he was still doing it willingly. Okay, so there were no bad blood between him, the sons, and now the ex-wife with somebody else's wife. So Mr. Steven has been has been single for the last 15 years. There are people who have been single for longer. There are people who are watching this show and they have been single for a very long time. And some of the questions we ask ourselves: what is the kind of person the partner is looking for? What do they do for a living? Because it also helps people to gauge whether or not they will be interested. Because even in the social status, people are different. Economically, people are different. Socially, people are different. Are we together? So now, what does he do for a living? It is funny that what he does for a living is what made the wife leave. Why? Because when they began to, he had a dream from the beginning that he's going to the US, get some money, and reinvest back in his country, then get his retirement here and start enjoying business. He had the heart of business. And the kind of business he wanted to venture into required a lot of money if he was to do it in the US. So there was no way he was going to retire there. So what he did, he began to buy small portions of land in growing and developing areas, the likes of Ruiru, the likes of Kenyatta Road, the likes of Kamulu, the likes of Ruai, Joska. They started buying parcels of land with a friend of him. They had gone to the US almost at the same time. So the friend came back and became a business associate. So they were buying chunks of land and then they would sell portions. You know, they would sell portions at a profit. So it became a norm. It became a norm. And when he was starting that career, the land buying and real estate thing, to be a realtor, the wife realized that this man has dreams to go back home. So she began to plot. Okay, she began to plot against him, against the marriage. Again, he used to communicate that he would leave for his country at some point when business would be good. The wife could not hear of it because she had no plans of coming back to the country, and she was not even planning to come back to the country. So Mr. Stephen was left for that reason. There was a time when you are in the US, there is nothing like housewife or house husband. Both of you are working, you share responsibilities. So what happened is that they would unite, work, and after they have saved a few dollars here and there, he would now take that money and try to reinvest, and the wife refused. In fact, the money they had started investing together was demanded back. So he paid back. The wife asked back for the money, and now they got debt free. They parted ways, roho safi. Wakipatana kwa barabara, watasalimiana, but they are no longer husband and wife. She's somebody else's wife. So Mr. Steven was also trying to nurse the heartbreak. And if you had loved somebody truly and sincerely, if that love was at all genuine, it becomes very difficult to move on quickly. Okay, that is why most people, even after heartbreaks or even after the death of spouse, they take time to heal, because loving somebody can be something very devastating if that love cannot be found again. So that is why Mr. Steven is on the show. Number two, Mr. Steven is a man who comes from Wangige. If you know Wangige, Pastor Wangige, I think Kingero. Kingero is the name. And for people who Rokobi or something, Rokofi, or I don't know, I didn't understand that name well. Rokofi, maybe if you know those areas, is that Kabete? Is in Kiambu? If you know that area, probably you can be able. Watu wenye wametoka Ruaka, Two Rivers Mall kukuja hivi kurudi hivyo Banana Gashie na wapi, mnaweza tuambia hiyo area inaitwa namna gani? Watu wa Kabete, ni Lower Kabete hiyo maybe, but Pastor Wangike Kingero, that's what he said. and he's looking for a match, and he hopes that this woman can, if possible, some things cannot be cast on stone. So I am not trying to discourage somebody who is above 50. You can just cast your net. You do not know whether it is possible. He is the one to decide. You guys can maybe vibe. So somebody in the 30s and 40s would be an ideal match. Why? Because probably that person can get a baby and he really desires. Anatamaningi sana kupata msichana. He would like to name that girl after his own mother, and that is why he is back in the country. So what he's doing right now, he is in real estate. He's selling portions of land. You see, 10 years ago, for people who witnessed the growth of this Kikuyu or vernacular, the vernacular TV stations, those times when people used to decode us, about 10 years ago, when did Obama come to Kenya? Around 2015. It was 2015, around the month of July, when we had the Global Entrepreneurship Summit. That time, chunks of land were able to get a lot of airplay, a lot of airtime on media, and most people were buying in those growing areas. Those who were able to buy were buying as low as 100,000, 50,000, 200,000, and now they are selling in millions. And people who are able to buy for the purpose of selling at a profit 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, are making good money. That's why he wants to come back to reinvest. In fact, he has started already. So he's in real estate, if you ask him what he does for a living. Okay? He would prefer a woman who is God-fearing, a woman who, if that woman is divorced, at least the woman has papers, so that it will not be said that he's taking somebody's wife. If that woman has children, the children have to be in agreement, because families can be very complicated. Families can be very different. If families can be very different if you do not agree to work together the journey of marriage, because you're not just bringing that partner to yourself, you're introducing the partner to a family that is strange altogether. Okay, that is Mr. Steven, and I am hoping that he can get a good match. And number two, because I am going to post his email address, there is a growing trend of people who are for people who are posting emails that they do not respond. Before somebody decides to post their email, for example, they are already aware that they will receive maybe many calls, and they are just looking for one person. So what you do when you're writing an email, for example, don't forget, when you're writing an email, don't forget to attach your phone number so that that person can easily contact you. If they like you, if they like your profile, they will just do what? They will just send you or they will reply to your email, or they will send you a number. Yeah, and then you can now start dating. So we are wishing him well. We are wishing all the singles the best of luck. And also, if you would want to be featured on the show, you can contact our desk on 0712 997 660 or plus 254 712 997 660. You can contact our desk, and either Liz, Alice, or Tony will get back to you, and then you'll be served. You can even be posted and you'll be on the choosing end, so that when people call you or when people write to you, you can respond and choose the best from the rest. Until next time, this is Jenga. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if you are on X, we can follow one another on X, formerly Twitter. God bless you. Bye bye. Happy Sunday.